Christian Genetski, President of FanDuel. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, we've been in sports gambling in the US for several years now. FanDuel, obviously, one of the leading companies. I'm curious, how has the market evolved?
Well, it's been a rapidly growing market. So if
Yeah.
you think about 2018, the Supreme Court repealed the PASPA law and paved the way for states to legalize sports betting. I was reflecting the other day, about this time 6 years ago, we were live in 3 states, and sports we were about to shut down for 6 months. And
Yeah.
so you fast forward to today, we're about 50% of the population of the United States has access to online sports betting.
Yeah.
And about half the states, roughly, also have access. So it's been a pretty big leap forward in a pretty short period of time.
When people look at this space, they really see FanDuel and DraftKings, and you guys were the early adopters, especially through daily fantasy sports. But I'm wondering, how has that kind of competitive advantage lead persisted? Do you still feel like you're at the same place in the market? Does it still feel like there's an edge? Is it slipping? How does that look now?
Yeah, we feel very good about where we are. I think if you look at the advantages we have, I think from the daily fantasy sports days, we developed a brand around sports and gaming, right? We had big customer bases from those businesses. Those were helpful. We had a marketing acumen. We were a business, to consumer, digital marketing first company. And then I think the aspect that's overlooked the most about FanDuel and DraftKings, it's a big differentiator, is this is all we do.
Yeah.
This is our business. Our business is online gaming. A lot of our competitors have a bit more differentiated businesses. Yeah. This is not necessarily the primary thing that they do, and I think that will to win and that singular focus has served both companies well.
Well, to your point, like whether they're casinos, like brick and mortar casinos, online, even fanatics,
Sure.
as sports gambling now, there's a lot of people popping into the market, but it's really just you and DraftKings from the market share perspective. Is that kind of how you guys look at it competitively when you are looking at it from a business sense? Like, we need to worry about DraftKings, we don't really need to worry about anybody else?
I think we, sort of borrow a sports analogy, we worry about the people in our locker room, and we worry about our customers more than what anyone else is doing. We're not above if somebody has an interesting innovation that they came up with first and taking a look at that, if customers were responding to it. We have a new competitive set now in these prediction markets that are out there. If you're in California this week, those are available, and online regulated sports books are not. So we're in a space that's always evolving. I think we feel really good about our position. We feel like we've got a right to win in the long term. But tomorrow's not guaranteed to any of us, so we're going to keep fighting.
Well, let me ask you, one of the ways that FanDuel, for example, has built such a share is customer acquisition. You enter a new state, you offer these great deals, these bonuses and whatnot. How has the price of customer acquisition evolved, and kind of where do you see that going forward?
Yeah, I think the biggest change that we've seen, so Missouri's the state we've launched in most recently in December of 2025. The biggest change from, say, when we launched in Pennsylvania in 2019 is that a lot of the quote-unquote new customers that are residents in Missouri actually already had FanDuel accounts.
Yeah.
Because we've been live in Kansas for a long period of time, we've been live in Illinois, so there are border states, and also people travel, right?
Yeah.
So you've gone to New York, or you've gone...
I mean, people do the New York, New Jersey train, I've seen it a million times.
A lot of people, they didn't play on FanDuel regularly, but they had a FanDuel account from being in a state where FanDuel was live and signing up and depositing money. So it was more like turning it on and being able to do it from the comfort of their own home, as opposed to when they're traveling. And that's something that was not, we were really trying to introduce people to the category, to what FanDuel was about in 2019, 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Now we're in half the country, we're advertising nationally. This will be the 3rd year in a row we've had an ad, in or around the Super Bowl. So people are much more aware of FanDuel, so the adoption is a lot quicker. And it really is more about competing to have customers spend more of their mind share with our app than others.
Well, to that point, it's not just traditional marketing. There's a lot of athlete endorsement. There's a giant FanDuel stage behind me with a bunch of TV shows on the FanDuel Sports Network. Talk to me about this investment in athlete marketing content and kind of why that is essential to kind of position yourself in today's day and age.
Yeah, I mean, we're a big believer. You have to have the right people who you feel like really represent your brand in the right way. I mean, Rob Gronkowski has been a fantastic ambassador for FanDuel. He's a delight to work with. I think he gets the brand. He gets what's fun about FanDuel and about sports betting. He's been fantastic for us. But we have a number of partnerships. We have Kevin Durant, Jordan Spieth, the Bussin' with the Boys guys have been spending a lot of time out here this week, and they've got a lot of appeal in kind of the college sports area. And so I think, look, we're a sports company I've been a sports fan for 50 years. I've been a sports betting executive for 7, right?
Yeah.
So we want people who are authentic, have authentic voices, and are kind of meeting our fans where they live. And so a lot of those are going to be, current and former athletes.
Do you feel like you're at the critical mass with that? Do you want to ramp that up even further? Does that unlock more business as it scales up, or is it just kind of an independent type thing?
I think it depends on, again, having the right voices and the right people who, again, deliver an authentic experience. If somebody just feels like a pitch man pitching you a product, like that's not really going to resonate.
Yeah.
But I think we love working with talent. I think we will continue to see us do a little bit more of that.
How much are you kind of looking into the future over the fence at markets like California and Texas, and kind of like hoping and praying they come online sooner rather than later, and what that could do for sports gambling in the U.S.?
I'm not going to say that hoping and praying aren't involved, but there's also a lot of work that we're doing and a lot of resource we're spending on it. Look, in California, we had a ballot initiative in 2022 that failed somewhat spectacularly. Since that time, we've kind of gone back to first principles. Spent the last several years building relationships with the Indian tribes in California.
Yeah.
We now have a very good relationship there. It's going to happen on the tribe's timetable here.
Yeah.
They're the stewards of gaming in California and have been for a long time. I think there's mutual interest in finding a path that delivers wins for the tribes, delivers wins for the citizens of California in terms of tax revenue, and for the customers and consumers of California.
How are you thinking about kind of where we're at from a regulatory perspective in sports betting here in the U.S., and also kind of the other piece that goes with that is kind of the taxing perspective? Obviously, the administration too, in their new bill, changed the way that you can write off the taxes. So, wondering how you're thinking about those things.
Yeah, I think it's again, the entire category is really a work in progress still, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we really are. People usually early innings. I mean, we're in maybe the top of the fourth, bottom of the fourth in this thing, and so I think states are finding their way. I mean, we're out doing a better job of telling our story. That FanDuel loans paid over $6 billion in taxes to states. That's real money, and it does real things, right? It funds teacher salaries, first responder salaries, funds responsible gaming and gambling addiction resources. And so we think of ourselves as a partnership with the states, and we're out there educating. And I think states are realizing that there is sort of a right size to taxation where you allow a market to grow and flourish.
Yeah.
We're able to reinvest money both into our customers and generosity and into our product to make the product better over the long term. And yet we're still contributing a great amount of revenue to the states that goes to good causes.
I think that's a natural segue into kind of the burning question in all of sports gambling right now, prediction markets. Curious how you see that fitting in your ecosystem and kind of what to expect.
Yeah, it's been fascinating. I mean, I've described it as sort of like if you're a competitor, having somebody come up with an innovative new offense in sports that the run and shoot back in the day. I'm an old guy, or and you have to figure out sort of, okay, this is something new and different. How do we react to it? I think so. It's been an interesting year. I think the CFTC has created a pathway for prediction markets to exist. We're in a bit of a unique position because we're a licensed online gaming company in half the states in the country.
Yeah.
Our priority is to that business. That's our core business. Our partnerships with those states are important, and so we've opted not to participate in prediction markets in any state where we offer sports betting.
Yeah.
However, in all the states where we are continuing to try
it's nice
to open up
yeah.
sports betting, it gives us a way to be in touch with the customers, right? Again, I've talked about these people that have a FanDuel account. Now they can have a FanDuel Predicts account. It may not be the full experience, but it gives them a similar sort of experience, and they can engage with us. We hope as a pathway to eventual legalization and taxation and regulation at the state level.
I mean, the two parts here. I think about, does this create potential for bad actors, and maybe less so in sports, which do have those protections in place, but there are some lower level prediction markets where someone could have inside information and know. The other is kind of the ethical question of, do we need more forms of gambling? And I think some people are arguing that. So how do you think about those two elements?
Yeah, look, on the first one of the things we're we think we can be a leader in is bringing to prediction markets where we operate at the same sorts of controls around integrity and around responsible gaming that we bring in the sports betting space. So if you have a limit set on your FanDuel account for sports betting and you download and sign up for FanDuel Predicts, we're going to port over that limit.
Yeah.
We're going to honor self-exclusions off of sportsbook on the prediction markets. And I think you'll see others follow if we lead in that regard, and if others in the regulated gaming space do the same thing. So I think it's not inherently inconsistent that those platforms can adopt and the same sort of safeguards. We're sending a letter to the CFTC saying we think this is a good idea. On the insider trading sort of things,
quote unquote.
Yeah. Look, there are a lot of things you cannot bet on legal regulated sports books that you will hear people talk about casually in Super Bowl week. Like, we don't offer a lot of color of Gatorade bets in many places, right? The coin toss is only legal in certain jurisdictions. Prediction markets, because they're self-certified, you're going to see a lot of stuff and a lot of things that there are people who know the outcome. Yeah. Some of the prediction market purveyors will tell you that's priced in. Yeah. And so you just accept that. I think others are taking a much stronger stance that there has to be a clear rule that insider trading is prohibited. We'll see how that plays out over time. I know the professional sports gamblers of the world are fewer and far between, but kind of analogous to Wall Street trading. Are we about to see a wave of full-scale, full-time prediction market traders? My Twitter feed would indicate that yes, that there are a lot of people spending 8 hours a day at home trading on the markets. I think sports betting is in the top of the fourth legalized regulated online sports betting. Prediction markets are really in the top of the first, and so I think we're going to see that space evolve. From my experience at FanDuel with daily fantasy sports and with sports betting, for prediction markets to thrive in the long term, they're going to have to prove that it's a fair space, it's a transparent space, it's reliable, it's trustworthy. Without those, you're not going to build a long-term sustainable business, so I think that's where it'll have to go. How are you thinking about kind of driving more business in the long term? And what I mean by that is, obviously, there's a margin on prediction markets or sports gambling, but an even better margin comes from iGaming. And you have all these customers on your platform. Is the goal kind of to bring them in using these games and eventually kind of push them over to iGaming where, they could, functionally, like, this is why casinos are in business, Yeah, I mean, interesting, not really is the answer, because... So you want people to continue to exist on the platform that they go for? We want people to continue to play the games that they enjoy the most, right? Yeah. And so there are, we have online casino in 5 states now. Yeah. We have customers who both bet on the sports book and play on the online casino. We have a much larger number who play exclusively on the sportsbook or exclusively on casino. And casino has some interesting demographics that differ from sports betting. It's got a much higher female demographic, tends to skew a bit older. So they really are 2 different products. Sometimes they both appeal to the same person in some cases, but not in others. And our marketing strategies are a little different to go for that casino-first customer versus a sports-first customer. Does this mean daily fantasy sports is going by the wayside in the long run, or? I hope not. Look, I'm an old head on daily fantasy sports. I still play, contests for every Sunday night, Monday night football game with my friends, and I think it is a product that requires a much bigger investment of time and research. Yeah. And the opportunities are not quite as unlimited as they are in a sports book, but I think it still has its place. Before I let you go, I got to ask if there's a prediction or a best bet for Sunday that I need to know about. Yeah, I was very surprised to see that we actually have more bets on the Patriots than we do on Seattle. Really? Now, some people say that's because they're the underdog, so people are just chasing the better price. I tend to think it's sort of a hedge against the evil empire winning another Super Bowl. I will say we have more money on the Seahawks, and I think that's the smarter side. I personally am on the Seahawks. I think 23-14 Seahawks would be my prediction. Christian Genetski, thanks for taking the time today. Great to meet you. Thank you.